Morning and good morning and welcome to the CRTPO Technical Coordinating Committee meeting on Thursday, March 2nd, 2023. We're going to go around the room and do introductions. And once you make introductions, you can mute your mic. We'll start to my left.
Tracy Haug, pedestrian.
Heather Maloney, Town of Huntersville.
Bjorn Hansen, Union County.
Will Washam, Town of Mooresville. Andrew Golden, Town of Davidson.
Robert Teft, Town of Weddington.
Aaron Tucker, Town of Cornelius.
Genesis Harrod, City of Statesville.
Good morning, Clint Grant, Public Health.
Justin Russell, Town of Stallings.
Andrew Ventresca, Town of Troutman.
Travis Johnson, CRTPO.
Liz Babson, City of Charlotte.
Jason Lawrence, Charlotte Area Transit System, here for David McDonald.
Dominique Boyd, NCDOT Transportation Planning Division.
Candace Rory, Charlotte Planning.
Anil Panicker, NCDOT Division 12.
Leo Gatea, Division 10.
Samantha Miller, Charlotte General Services.
Gwen Cook, Greenway Focus.
Alex Ramundi, bicycle focus.
Dana Stujanki, Town of Matthews.
Steve Fry, Town of Mint Hill.
All right, now we'll go into the audience real quickly. To the left, Neil, we'll start with you.
Neil Burke, CRTPO.
Justin Carroll, CDOT.
Bob Cook, CRTPO.
Andy Grigsby, Charlotte DOT.
Rob Spurgeon, Town of Cornelius. Warren Cook, Turnpike Authority. Scott Miller, Division 10.
Martin Keller, CDOT.
Brian Elbort, CRTPO.
And then to the right,
Jennifer Stafford, CRTPO. Theo Thompson, CRTPO.
Bruce Burgess, CRTPO. Burrell Leonard, CRTPO.
all right, thank you and welcome everyone. Our first item is to adopt today's agenda. May I have a motion? And one more reminder as well, when you make a motion, we also state your name and agency, so Travis doesn't have to scramble to figure out who takes what action. So may I have a motion to adopt today's agenda?
Motion to adopt today's agenda, Andrew Ventresca, Town of Troutman.
And a second?
Second, Will Washam, Town of Mooresville.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. All right, next item, consent agenda. We need to adopt today's consent agenda, and that is the approval of the February 2nd, 2023 TCC minutes and the FY 2023 CRTPO self-certification. May I have a motion for that action?
Motion. Heather Maloney, Town of Huntersville.
Thank you. And may I have a second?
Second, Candace Rory, Charlotte Planning.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries unanimously. All right, moving into business items. We have 3 business items today. First, we're going to hear from Bob Cook, and he's going to give us an update on the FY24 UPWP.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Liz. And more than an update, actually going to be asking you to recommend to the board that it approve the FY24 Unified Planning Work Program. So this might be the last time you hear about this for a little while. I apologize. I know you anxiously await these presentations each month. But I did want to note quickly too, what this action really means, because we talk about it a whole lot, but sometimes we forget about what it really does mean. Well, it is really the first step in adopting the work program for the year, adopting our budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And it sets like your city and town budgets, your priorities, your community's priorities for that time period. But as we've talked about in the past, MPO priorities are often are established by outside forces, if you will, by federal regulation, by federal statute, and to a certain degree, state law and state statute. So a lot of what we do is routine, and we've talked about that before. We do have the ability to amend the UPWP, and I think that is a likely scenario since we're setting priorities very early, and we don't always know what will be coming our way within 3 months, 6 months, or whatever. Good example of that is the unsolicited proposal for I-77. We had no idea that that was coming forward, but it took up a lot of our staff time during this current fiscal year and the past fiscal year as well. So in terms of the development of our of this work program, just wanted to quickly review. We kicked this off back in October. We had a review with you of the major issues at the November TCC meeting. First draft was presented to you in January. We had 2 transportation staff meetings where this was discussed as well. And then we previewed the draft, the second draft with you at the February meeting. So a lot of discussion about this. I know it can be a little dry at times, but it's a lot of money. And it does set the organization's priorities for the year. And I think it's worth a healthy amount of discussion and review by this committee. So in terms of some updates, I think you've seen the first 2 about the Metroliner regional model, and we will be carrying over $90,000 and a little over that into the next fiscal year, primarily because of delays in completing the household travel survey, or getting it underway, I should say. And we'll be splitting that between both planning dollars or PL dollars and Section 5303 funds that come from the Federal Transit Administration. And then the Connect Beyond carryover, we've finalized that number at $336,037. That'll be 5303 money. And this last one, we may not have talked about a whole lot, but this is the Silver Line Rail Trail, the rail trail primarily from Uptown out to Matthews, I believe. And we're carrying over a little, almost $54,000 to complete that work. That is Section 5303 money as well. These are the total allocations for Section 5303 funds. These have not changed since I think even the January meeting. So these numbers probably do look familiar to you. Getting into the PL, the planning funds, or the STBGDA funds. These numbers are pretty much similar to what you saw at the February meeting and at the transportation staff meeting on the 22nd, going task code by task code. You can see planning process with a sizable amount of money because we'll be working on, in part because we'll be working on the 2055 MTP, but also because there's a lot that goes on under that heading. The CTP, the strategic plan, performance-based planning, et cetera. So there's a lot of activity under there, but a big chunk of that will be for the 2055 MTP. And then a sizable amount of money too under special studies. These are those local planning projects for the most part that go through the discretionary process. And in that case, all that local match, as a reminder, is the responsibility of the sponsoring agency. It is not a shared local match in that particular case. Continuing on with this, you see relatively modest numbers for those first 3 task codes. Management and operations does take up a sizable amount of our time and effort. Therefore, the dollar figure is rather high. One of the biggest issues that we'll be dealing with in terms of task codes is the reassessment of the memorandum of understanding, and that'll be really officially getting kicked off this later on this afternoon. And Travis will have some more information about that at the close of the meeting. So these numbers have all again been have been stable over the past several meetings. In terms of the discretionary program, these 5 planning projects again were endorsed by the Project Oversight Committee. We hit a bump in the road at the February board meeting. We were hoping that this project or the entire project list coming out of the discretionary program would have been approved by the board at that meeting, but it was not. We're hoping that'll happen on the March 15th meeting, but we will see maybe if we can get them to at least pull this list out. If there's still some hesitancy about the overall project list, and get this approved so we can fully incorporate it into the UPWP. But at this point, we are, like we have been throughout the process, assuming that the board will approve this list. And then in terms of the carryovers, I know we've had a number of discussions about these, and these are all those dollars for mostly local planning initiatives where the work is has to continue into FY24, and we're carrying over those varying amounts from a low of 5,000 in a couple of instances with Mooresville and Statesville to a high of $336,037 for Connect Beyond. And these numbers have been pretty much stable. The only real new addition is the Silver Line Rail Trail. Our key activities for the next fiscal year. These are remain unchanged, except for the final one, the 2055 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. We're adding that as a key activity for the year, since it will take up a lot of our time. And it is the most critical document that we work on as an organization. Then in terms of task code by task code amounts, total amounts, that's STBGA, planning dollars, and section 5303. These numbers have probably been modified a little bit. Data and planning support, just slightly over $1 million for that. Sizable amount of that money will go to the Metrolina regional model and the important work that undertaking provides to us as an organization. Planning process, we talked about that before, and the amount of money involved with that. This is the total amount again, close to $2 million, but you see the wide variety of activities that are programmed under planning process. And then the Unified Planning Work Program, a modest amount. Some of this money is also being used by CATS through their section 5303 dollars for their work on UPWP related matters from their own end. Most of the work will be conducted by CRTPO staff though. And it's just the basic maintenance of the UPWP and the preparation of the document as well. Under the tip, we talked a little bit yesterday about the prioritization, yesterday at the transportation staff meeting, that is about the prioritization process. So a sizable amount of time and effort will be going to that starting this fiscal year, but continuing into fiscal year 24. And of course, the discretionary funds program, an ongoing cycle of events for that program with the 2 annual calls and so forth, takes up a sizable amount of staff time. And then oversight of the project oversight committee, staff oversight. Under regulatory and statewide and regional planning, relatively modest amounts under those categories. I think we might have a typo there for on the regulatory side, but no, I think that's accurate because of the public participation. And then management and operations, the MOU reassessment that I mentioned before, the urban area changes, and then the typical grants management and administration. So there aren't too many next steps. The next step will be to request board adoption later on this month on the 15th, and then submit the final version to NCDOT. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bob. Are there any questions on this item? All right, hearing none. The action requested is to recommend that the CRTPO board approve the FY 2024 UPWP. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion. Dana Stujanki, Town of Matthews.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second, Andrew Ventresca, Town of Troutman.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That action carries unanimously. Moving on to our second item. We're going to hear from Travis Johnson on the draft 2024-2033 Transportation Improvement Program.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak to you today. We're going to talk about the action today, which is to open a public comment period, which will be a 30-day public comment period for the draft 2024-2033 Transportation Improvement Program, the 2050 MTP amendments and modifications, and then the air quality conformity determination report. The requested action is to open public comment period is necessary for the TIP adoption to occur in June. The comment period is scheduled to begin on March 16th and conclude on April 14th. And we'll also be posting this information in the Mecklenburg Times on the CRTPO website and using our social media. Amendments and modifications to the 2050 MTP are needed in order for the MTP and TIP to be consistent. And there are 3 reasons for the amendments and modifications. The TIP includes projects not currently in the MTP. The project schedules have changed, resulting in the project shifting MTP horizon years, or update or change project details such as project limits, project phases, mileage. For air quality determination, Clean Air Act requires that NPO plans and programs conforms to the purpose of the state implementation plan for achieving air quality standards, and it's required for conformity to the purpose of the SIP means that the transportation activities will not cause new violations of the national ambient air quality standards, worsening existing violations or delay timely attainment of NAQS. So since the release of the draft TIP, CRTPO staff has reviewed the proposed content and project schedules with the TCC and the CRTPO board and participate in interagency consultation meetings with all of you for this item. So again, where we are now is asking for the public comment period to open. We've been planning to come back with what we hear in May and then going to the CRTPO board with hopeful for a June adoption. And so with that, do we have any questions?
Thank you, Travis. Any questions on this item?
And then when we receive public feedback, we'll consolidate any comments we receive and bring that back to the group for information.
Any questions on this item or further discussion? All right, hearing silence. Thank you. May I have a motion to recommend that the CRTPO board start a 30-day public comment period for the draft 2024-2033 TIP, the 2050 MTP amendments and modifications, and the air quality conformity determination report?
So moved. Will Washam, Town of Mooresville.
Thank you. And a second?
Samantha Miller, second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That action carries unanimously. All right, our third and final business item. We're going to hear from Jarrell Leonard on the proposed transit work group.
All right, good morning. I'm Jerome Leonard, CRTPO. So the action going to be requested from you all is to recommend to the CRTPO the formal establishment of a transit work group. And the purpose of this work group is to integrate public transportation processes in the 3 county areas, which are federally mandated, that is led by CRTPO. And the difference between this transit work group and efforts related to Connect Beyond is Connect Beyond is a 2-state, 12-county transit study led by Centralina. And I'm mentioning this because there were a couple of questions made in the previous month during the board meeting. So these are 2 distinct efforts. In 2019, there was a staff and resources study that was requested for CRTPO to lead, involving the integration of transit planning into CRTPO planning processes. One of the main efforts was the creation of the transit planner position, and to better facilitate and close the gap between or amongst CDOT, CATS, as well as CRTPO, and basically to improve coordination, tracking federal formula dollars, and also other grant funding. Also, in summer 2021, CRTPO had conducted interviews with the county-based non-CATS public transit providers seeking avenues for further coordination. And the main recommendations was the formation of a transit providers work group, and basically calling for collaboration and the possibility of sharing resources, and that work group would meet quarterly. Summer 2022, to follow up on that previous summer efforts, CRTPO met with the former Transit Education Initiative, also known as TEI leadership, about the conversion of the TEI effort into a transit providers work group. TEI leadership called for a presentation to be brought to the CRTPO board chair and vice chair about it, and also to draft a survey amongst the transit providers. Fall 2022, the survey went out, and overall results showed that a transit providers work group effort was desirable amongst the providers. So the proposed transit providers work group provides a means for formally integrating CRTPO and the transit providers planning responsibilities, such as with the UPWP, the MTP, and also the CTP, which is state mandate, and also just to foster a formal avenue of coordination and collaboration amongst the transit providers. The primary task would be FTA's Section 5303, which was mentioned in the UPWP a few moments ago. The memorandum of understanding efforts and program activities that were mandated by the board with the signing of the MOU in the summer of 2021. Performance-based planning, which is PTASK, which is the safety plan, and then TAMS, which is the asset management plans. And also, as mentioned momentarily ago, the UPWP, the TIP, the MTP, which is the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, and also the Comprehensive Transportation Plan and activities will also be incorporated into the work group's efforts. Membership of the work group would be within the 3 county areas transit providers of Iredell, Mecklenburg County, Union County, as shown in the map as you see to the left. Work group membership would be relevant staffers from CATS, Union County Transportation, Mecklenburg County Transportation, Iredell County Area Transportation Service, Central Lina Regional Council, NCDOT Integrated Mobility Division, and also ex officio members from relevant entities such as CDOT. That wraps up my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions for Jarrell? All right.
So
Actually, thank you. Action requested is to recommend that the CRTPO board formally establish the transit work group. May I have a motion for that action?
Motion from Jason Lawrence, Shawray Transit System.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second that. Alex Rotenberry, IMD.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That action carries unanimously. Thank you, Jarrell. All right, moving on to information reports. We have one today from Jennifer Stafford. We're going to hear about raised grant applications.
Good morning. We're moving right along. This is great. So we are applying again this year for a raised grant, and I just wanted to summarize what we did last year versus this year. So last year I gave a little update on our debrief with USDOT. Bob and I attended. We scored overall pretty good for our first submittal, but what we did learn was that we needed additional data. And so that's what we've done this year is we've added some data, and I'll go into that a little bit more. Last year, just to remind you, there was 936 applications requesting $13 billion and 166 projects were selected. So this might be good information for you all if you're applying for RAISE or going for the future RAISE. It's very competitive. They do award about 50-50 on the urban and rural. So we submitted last year as rural. We're doing it again this year as rural. I don't know. I guess in hindsight, Bob, that should have been maybe one of the questions was which applications did you get more of? Because we could probably go either way. So again, we submitted a 2023 RAISE grant, and the purpose of that is for transportation safety plan on studying why crashes continue in areas of persistent poverty, historically disadvantaged communities and rural areas. So this is the name of our application, was a cross-jurisdictional transportation safety plan, and again, targeting on these 3 areas of concern. In doing that, targeting these, it means it's 100% federally funded, so we don't have to come to you all requesting a match. Plus, the stats show that these are the areas that really need a lot of work done. So 60% of crashes occur in these 3 areas of concern. The strength of going through an MPO is we're sort of the central powers followers, reaching out, collaborating with you all. We have access to you. So I think this is a good place for us to sort of insert a study of this level. And again, it's 100% federally funded if we can get this. So the text in the application very much zeroes in on Vision Zero as well as FHWA's safe system approach. And these numbers we used last year and we're using them again this year, over 255,000 residents in CRTPO are classified as areas in persistent poverty. And that classification comes from FHWA. So they define what these areas are. Over 370,000 residents in our area live in historically disadvantaged communities. And then you'll see there's a very large rural application. What's the word I'm looking for? Rural area in our planning area. So a little bit more on the stats. 60% of all crashes in the CRTPO planning area took place in these three areas. 16% of the crashes involved pedestrian and cyclists were severe or fatal. 7.6 of these severe and fatal crashes or areas in concern involved heavy trucks. 74.3% of the planning area crashes involved wildlife taking place in rural. I guess that probably doesn't surprise you, but you'll see on one of the maps what this looks like. 21% of crashes took place at night or in dark areas, and 45% took place in intersections. So here's a map, and the green is the rural and orange is areas of persistent poverty, and then the hashes, the historically disadvantaged. And you can see that most of our towns, our member jurisdictions fall in one of these categories. The majority of the rural, of course, is in Iredell and Union County. The city of Charlotte has done a great job with their Vision Zero efforts and has gone as far as to get some IIJA grant funding for some pedestrian highway beacons and other improvements in that upper crescent area that you'll see so strong. So the majority of the funds for this RAISE grant, if we get it, will be spent in Iredell and Union. That doesn't mean that we will exclude Mecklenburg by any means at all, but I think the city of Charlotte has a pretty good handle on that. So we'll assist where we can, but in developing a high injury network, it would be more in the Iredell and Union County areas, along with the outlying cities. So here's an example of nighttime crashes. Sorry, you can't see that up top. So you can see how heavy they are. Of course, they are in the city of Charlotte as well, but studying the rural areas of Iredell and Union County is super important to try to get these crashes under control. So with that, I will take any questions. I will tell you that we have 21 letters of support. So everybody here that was involved in getting one, thank you very much. It's not too late to send letters of support. You want to send it directly to the RAISE grant, and I'm happy to email this out. Neil emailed out the address and an example letter a couple weeks ago now. So if you want to dig through your email, it went to TCC, alternate the board. But if you have any questions, feel free to email me as well. So with that, I'll take questions.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any questions for Jennifer? Go ahead.
Well, I'll just make a comment that I think it's a great project and very needed. I know a lot of jurisdictions have been working on individual Vision Zero plans, Mooresville being one of them. We just kicked ours off a couple months ago, but whatever additional resources and planning power we can put behind advancing traffic safety in this region, I think is much needed, and especially with CRTPO leading the charge. So we're excited about this application.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Will. And just as a reminder, if you do become a Vision Zero, that doesn't mean that you're going to be left out at all, because we will work in areas like that. Our application goes from everything from media campaigns, running TV ads, through some design work. So in our budget amount, we have a couple $1 million reserved for just doing some PE work. And that's where it could come in very nicely for towns that are already starting to develop their high injury network.
Any other questions? Quick question, when's the next deadline for submission?
So this deadline for this raise was Tuesday, and I think raise will come again super early next year. For the next upcoming grant, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. There's so many IIJA grants. CRTPO, again, we are combing through the grants looking for 100% federally funded, and it could be that we come to you all asking for a small percentage for the match, but coming up with a match is very difficult. So sorry, I can't directly answer your question. Sorry.
It's perfect. Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? All right, you guys are quiet today.
I know, right?
The rain has got everybody gloomy. Okay, moving on to our last section, we have other reports. So again, as a reminder, NCDOT Division 10 and 12 have provided project updates in your packets. Those guys are here with us today, so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to them after the meeting. Alex, with Integrated Mobility, you have an update for us.
I do. Good morning, everybody. Couple of things. First, like I started off last time, I was congratulating Charlotte for their Safe Streets and Roads for All implementation grant. And again, they are deserving of congratulations for being awarded the Reconnecting Communities grant that was recently announced as well. So I was very excited to see at least one project from North Carolina being selected. So that's very exciting, and look forward to seeing what comes out of that. Moving on to stuff that we're working on, things that I've been teasing for months now, our micro transit feasibility studies. Finally gonna give a date on that. That we're expecting that application to open next week on next Thursday. And so I believe that's the 9th. And so we have a meeting with the transit agencies that's monthly, and so we'll announce that to them. They or agencies that oversee transit agencies are the only ones that can apply. This is intended for them. And so I think we typically have those open for about 2 months. I would suspect that application will be open until early May, I suppose. So I want to make folks aware of that since I've been teasing it for so long. Also, we have quarterly webinars, and so sometimes it's just easier to direct folks to that online rather than just rehash everything that was discussed already. And so we had one on in mid-February around Valentine's Day, and so that's available online. As a recording of that is available online, as well as the slides if you're not interested in sitting through an hour-long presentation. Talking about numerous projects that we're working on, both with transit and with bike ped, as well as we had some guest speakers from the safety office talking about some online maps they created for bike ped crashes and fatalities, serious injuries, kind of like some of the stuff that Jennifer was talking about a minute ago. And as well as we had a discussion from ITRI at NC State talking about some micro transit related work they've been working on recently. So I usually send out the slides to the MPOs, but I'll make sure that Travis has a copy of those as well, so he can distribute those out. And finally, we've opened up our travel demand management, or TDM, program. The good news is that even if you don't qualify, Centralina is currently a grant recipient of ours and is working on a TDM plan for their entire region, which will cover most of you all, but not all of you all. So they're working on a plan itself, and then I think they'll be applying once again for additional funding moving forward. But TDM is a program that focuses on creating more travel options for communities or regions, I'm reading now, as well as reducing the overall vehicle miles traveled and enhancing travel accessibility. So some strategies to improve that, to actually do TDM include, public transit, promoting bike walk, of course, ride share and van pool, teleworking, mobility as a service, and education campaigns to employers. And this will be geared, I think, mostly towards transit or transit related applications, which is why Centralina is able to apply for it. And so that's open now and will close actually in a few weeks' time. It was only open for about a month. So people are certainly that are eligible are certainly welcome to apply. And we expect the winners to be announced sometime in May. So that's all for me, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. All right, next, Warren, you have an update for us?
Thank you. I don't need to hold it. Thank you again, Madam Chair. As you may recall, last month I talked about the back office system transition that the Turnpike Authority was doing for NC Quick Pass. I'm very delighted to be able to report back that it went off as scheduled. It was not down longer than we anticipated. Everything came back up. Our next major milestone, however, is going to be the middle of this month when the first invoices under the new system go out. So please think well for us on that account. If you haven't checked out your NC Quick Pass account since the new system went live, I encourage you to do so. I waited a few days, did so on Tuesday. Much better. It actually looks like a website that people these days actually use, as opposed to what the old one that was 10 years ago did. It had the toll travel I had made during the time the system was down. It was already in my account and it was accurate. So by all means, if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. We're very, very pleased with the results so far for February, and again, holding our breath for March. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. All right, moving on. We've got an update from Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you. So two updates. Number one is last month, we took the fall call projects to the board. The board had some questions about the CATS project and deferred action to March 15th. So CATS will give a presentation at that meeting. And number two, the call for shortfall opened yesterday. So if you have a existing CRTPO discretionary funded project and you need supplemental funds, now's the time to apply. The call is open until April 28th. And just remember that we take shortfall applications in both the spring and the fall. So there's another opportunity later on in the year. Any questions?
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, moving on. Curtis, do you have an update for us on Bike and Ped Work Group?
Just very briefly, in addition to the two agenda items in your agenda, we do have an additional item. The work group has been invited to provide some feedback on congestion management strategies related to active transportation. So we'll have that discussion this afternoon. Also, we will be in room 801. We had a meeting conflict. So we'll be in room 801 instead of Innovation Station. Please feel free to join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis. No updates from Craft, and I'll turn it over to Travis for a few updates on upcoming items.
Thank you. First, I'm going to call on, or first I wanted to, first is give an update this afternoon. A MOU subcommittee will be meeting. The MOU subcommittee is formed from CRTPO board members. This committee was formed in response to information we received from the 2020 census. So we'll have more information on that as they continue to work through the MOU. Second, we have an update about the Fred D. Alexander from Andy. Yes, please.
Good morning. In January, this board reviewed a CTP amendment for Fred D. Alexander Boulevard. It went to the board that month and they did have some concerns. So CDOT staff is working with residents in the area as well as elected officials to try to work through those concerns. So at this point, we are anticipating that we will be bringing this back to the carpool board at their March 15th meeting. But if there's something substantially changes, I assume it may have to come back through this board, but I really just want to give you an update on that process.
All right, thank you. Okay, you got two more? Thank you.
Then just two more items as a reminder. March 15th is the Mobility for the Future and Appreciation Celebration event here in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Government Center. There'll be opening remarks at 5 p.m. Additionally, on March 31st, we'll be doing another street cleanup. So if you'd like to participate, please contact Judy or Augustine. We'd love to see you out there. And then this will be the last for this current street. And then we'll be looking for moving to a new street to clean up after this. So again, we're cleaning up on March 31st. So if you'd like to come and put on a yellow vest, we'd love to see you.
All right, thank you. I'll pause for a moment and give the group, since everybody made the trek into Charlotte for the meeting, if anybody has any announcements or items of interest.
Liz, if I could just mention just one thing, hearing Alex talk about the microtransit initiative the state is working on. We have some microtransit public meetings coming up, and just a quick refresher, we've been working on an effort called Envision My Ride that wrapped up last year, was adopted by the Metropolitan Transit Commission, and that was a series of high frequency bus routes, mobility hubs, on-demand transit zones to be served through microtransit. And so we're in the implementation phase right now, and we got public meetings starting next week in person. We got one virtual today at 11:30 if you want to tune in on our YouTube channel. But March 7th at the Huntersville Town Hall from 6 to 8. Wednesday, March 8th in Davidson Town Hall from 6 to 8 p.m. And then Tuesday, March 16th at the Cornelius Town Hall from 6 to 8 p.m. And then we have a series of virtual public meetings on the March 10th and March 15th, both starting at 11:30 a.m. And it's our goal to start in the northern towns and work through converting the service that's called the Village Rider, convert that to full on demand, and then just make our way around the system and start converting the 19 zones that were adopted in the plan. And so happy to answer any questions about that, but you'll have more information about that as we move through that effort.
Thank you, Jason. Anybody else? All right, awesome. As always, thank you for your time and participation in the important work that we do as part of this committee for regional transportation. And may I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you. In a second.
Dana Stujanke, Town of Matthews.
All those in favor stand up and have a wonderful month.